Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Dawn watching the stars through the main viewing screen when the message arrived. The communication console beeped 3 times, which meant an official transmission from Earth Command. Communications. Officer Amy Phillips turned to face him with worry written across her face. "Captain, we have an urgent message from the Galactic Council," she said, while her hands moved quickly over the control panel. "It looks like something big, sir." Jake walked over to her station and watched as the holographic display came to life. The image showed Ambassador Helen Rodriguez speaking from the council chambers on SciFiPrime. Her face looked tired and her voice carried bad news. "All human vessels and colonies, please listen carefully," the ambassador began. "The Galactic Council has voted to ban all replicator technology effective in 72 hours. This decision affects every member species, including humanity. All replicator devices must be shut down and sealed until further notice." Jake felt his stomach drop. He looked around the bridge at his crew. Dr. Lisa Carter was running tests on plant samples at her science station. Chief Engineer Ryan Walsh was checking system reports near the engineering console. Amy Phillips stared at the message display with her mouth open. "The Council believes that replicator technology has made member species too dependent on artificial food production," Ambassador Rodriguez continued. "The Zilithian Empire and the Korath Federation have convinced other members that natural resource gathering will make us all stronger. They say we have become weak by relying on machines to create our food." Jake knew this was a disaster. The New Dawn was 3 months away from the nearest human colony. They carried only 2 weeks of emergency food supplies because everyone relied on replicators for daily meals. Every human ship and colony worked the same way. Dr. Carter looked up from her workstation. "Captain, this is impossible," she said. "We are too far from any supply base. Even if we started back to Earth right now, we would run out of food long before we got there." Ryan Walsh shook his head and walked over to join them. "The emergency rations were never meant to last more than a few days," he said. "They are just supposed to keep us alive if the replicators break down while we get them fixed." Amy Phillips turned off the message display and faced the captain. "Sir, I am getting similar reports from other human ships," she said. "Everyone is asking what they should do. Some ships are already heading back toward Earth, but most are too far away to make it." Jake knew that the alien species who pushed for this ban did not understand human needs. The Zilithians ate crystalline formations that grew naturally on their homeworld. They absorbed energy directly from these crystals and never needed to prepare food. The Korath had changed their bodies with genetic modifications so they did not need regular meals like humans did. "Why did they do this to us?" Amy asked. "Do they want us to starve?" "They do not think like we do," Dr. Carter replied. "The Zilithians see eating organic matter as primitive behavior. They think we should evolve beyond the need for complex nutrition." The Korath believe that any species worth joining the galactic community should be able to survive without artificial food production. Jake walked back to his captain chair and sat down heavily. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All crew members report to the main conference room in 10 minutes, he announced. "We have an emergency situation that affects everyone on board." The conference room filled quickly with worried faces. Jake explained the situation to his crew of 20 people. Some of them started to panic when they realized how far they were from home. Others suggested they should try to trade with alien ships for food supplies. "The problem is that most alien species do not eat the same things we do," Dr. Carter explained to the group. "Their food might be poisonous to humans, or it might not give us the nutrition we need to survive." Ryan Walsh raised his hand. "Captain, what about the planet we are surveying now?" he asked. "Could we find food there?" Jake looked at the display screen showing their current location. They were orbiting a planet called Kepler 442c in the Outer Rim territories. The planet had breathable air and showed signs of plant and animal life, but no intelligent species lived there. "It is risky," Dr. Carter said. "We do not know if anything on that planet is safe for humans to eat. We could land there and still starve if we cannot find edible food sources, but we will definitely starve if we stay on the ship." Amy pointed out At least on the planet we have a chance to find something. Jake thought about their options. They could try to reach another human colony, but they would run out of food long before getting there. They could try to contact alien ships for help, but most aliens did not carry human-compatible food. Or they could land on the unknown planet and hope to find something edible. The planet is our best option, Jake decided. Dr. Carter, you will lead the search for food sources. Ryan, I need you to set up a base camp with our survival equipment. Amy, keep trying to contact any human ships or colonies that might be close enough to help us. The crew began preparing for an emergency landing. Jake knew this was dangerous, but staying on the ship meant certain death. At least on the planet they had a fighting chance. Dr. Carter gathered her biological testing equipment while Ryan Walsh prepared the emergency shelter and basic survival tools. Amy Phillips sent out distress signals hoping someone would receive them and send help. Jake watched through the bridge windows as they descended toward the alien planet. The surface looked green and wild with thick forests and wide grasslands. He hoped they would find food down there because if they did not, his crew would not live to see Earth again. Beginning final descent, the pilot announced over the communication system. Touchdown in 5 minutes. Jake gripped his chair arms tightly and hoped they were making the right choice. The New Dawn touched down on Kepler 442c with a gentle thud that shook the entire ship. Jake Morrison looked out at the alien landscape through the bridge windows. Tall purple trees stretched toward a pale yellow sky while strange orange grass covered the ground in every direction. The air readings showed it was safe to breathe, but everything looked different from Earth plants. Landing complete, Captain, the pilot announced. All systems are stable and the atmosphere is breathable. Jake stood up and addressed his crew over the ship communication system. All hands prepare for surface operations, he said. Dr. Carter, take your biological team and start testing local plant life immediately. Ryan Walsh, get our survival shelter set up as quickly as possible. Everyone else stay close to the ship until we know this place is safe, Doctor. Carter gathered her testing equipment and headed for the main airlock with 3 other crew members. Ryan Walsh loaded emergency supplies onto hover carts and followed them. Outside, Amy Phillips stayed on the bridge trying to send messages to any human ships that might hear them. Jake stepped outside and felt alien air fill his lungs for the first time. It smelled like flowers mixed with something sharp and metallic. The gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth, which made walking feel strange. Purple trees towered above them with leaves that looked more like flat crystals than anything organic. Captain, look at this, Dr. Carter called from near a cluster of blue bush. These berries look similar to Earth blueberries, but the chemical composition is completely different. Jake walked over to see what she had found. The berries were bright blue and grew in thick clusters on low bushes. They looked good enough to eat, but Dr. Carter held up her hand to stop anyone from touching them. We cannot eat anything until I test it thoroughly, she warned. What looks safe might kill us in minutes. Ryan Walsh was setting up their emergency shelter between 2 large trees. The shelter could house all 20 crew members, but it was meant for short-term use only. Jake knew they needed to find food quickly or the shelter would become their tomb. How long will it take to test the local food sources? Jake asked Dr. Carter. Each plant or animal needs at least 6 hours of testing, she replied. I have to check for toxins and see if humans can digest the nutrients. Even then, we will not know if something is truly safe until someone actually eats it. Jake felt time pressure building in his chest like a heavy weight. Their emergency food supplies would last only 12 more days. If Dr. Carter needed 6 hours to test each potential food source, they might run out of time before finding anything safe to eat. Amy Phillips came running from the ship with bad news written on her face. Captain, I finally got through to the colony. On Rigel 7, she said while breathing hard. They are having the same problems we are. 3 ships have already been lost trying to reach supply stations. What about other alien species? Jake asked. Can they help us? I contacted a Korath trading vessel yesterday, Amy replied. They offered to sell us their nutritional supplements. But Dr. Carter says they are not suitable for human metabolism. We would slowly starve even while eating them. Jake walked to the edge of their small camp and looked out at the alien wilderness. Somewhere in those strange forests and grasslands there had to be something humans could eat. The planet clearly supported life, which meant it had the basic building blocks of nutrition. 3 days passed while Dr. Carter tested different plants and small creatures. Her first breakthrough came when she found that certain root vegetables contained proteins similar to Earth potatoes. The crew celebrated until 2 people who ate small test portions became violently sick. The proteins are similar but not identical, Dr. Carter explained while treating the sick crew members. Human digestive systems cannot process them properly. We need to find something closer to Earth biology. Jake watched their food supplies shrink day by day. The crew was already eating smaller portions to make the rations last longer. Some people started complaining that they should leave the planet and try to reach another system even though everyone knew it was impossible. Captain, we should at least try to fly toward human space, suggested crew member Danny Brooks. Maybe we will get lucky and find a supply ship. That is suicide, Ryan Walsh replied. We would die in space instead of dying here. At least here we have a chance to find food. Jake knew Ryan was right, but he could see the crew losing hope. Hunger was making everyone irritable and scared. Some people whispered that Jake had made the wrong decision by landing on this planet. On the 5th day, Dr. Carter made another discovery that raised their hopes. She found large grub-like insects living under fallen logs in the forest. When she analyzed them, she discovered they contained complete proteins that humans could digest. These creatures have amino acid profiles very similar to Earth insects. She announced to the gathered crew, many human cultures eat insects as a primary protein source. These should be safe for us to consume. The crew looked at the white grubs crawling in Dr. Carter biological sample containers. Most people made faces of disgust and several crew members walked away from the demonstration. I am not eating bugs, said crew member Patricia Wells. There has to be something else we can find. Our ancestors ate insects for thousands of years, Dr. Carter replied. They are actually very nutritious and many Earth cultures still consider them delicious, Jake knew. They were running out of options. Their food supplies would last only 6 more days and they had not found any plant sources that were safe for humans. The insects might be their only chance to survive. I will try them first, Jake announced. If they are safe for me, then everyone else can decide for themselves. Dr. Carter prepared a small portion of the grubs by cooking them over their campfire. She seasoned them with salt from their emergency supplies to make them more appealing. Jake took the cooked insects and examined them carefully. They looked like small white sausages with a slightly crispy outside from the cooking. Jake took a deep breath and put one in his mouth. It tasted nutty and slightly sweet, which surprised him. The texture was not as bad as he had expected. Not terrible, he said after swallowing. Actually kind of good. Several other crew members volunteered to try the insects after seeing that Jake did not immediately get sick. Dr. Carter monitored everyone carefully for any signs of allergic reactions or poisoning. By the end of the day they had found their first reliable food source, but Jake knew insects alone would not be enough. They needed fruits or vegetables to provide vitamins and carbohydrates. The search would continue tomorrow. Dr. Lisa Carter woke up before sunrise on the 8th day with excitement running through her body. She had been thinking about a fast-growing plant she noticed near the stream yesterday. The weed-like growth covered large areas of ground and seemed to thrive in the alien soil. If she could prove it was safe to eat, they might have found their second food source. Jake Morrison was already awake checking the perimeter of their camp when Lisa approached him with her testing equipment. The captain looked tired and worried as he watched their dwindling food supplies. Everyone was eating smaller portions now and some crew members were getting weak from hunger. Captain, I want to test those green weeds by the water source today, Lisa said. They grow everywhere and reproduce very quickly. If they are edible, we could have an unlimited supply of plant matter. How long will the testing take? Jake asked while scanning the forest for any signs of danger. 6 hours for basic toxicity screening, then another few hours to check nutritional content, Lisa replied. But I have a good feeling about these plants. They remind me of earth dandelions, which are completely edible and very nutritious. Jake nodded and assigned 2 crew members to help Lisa with her botanical work. Ryan Walsh had spent the morning setting up better cooking facilities using metal salvaged from non-essential ship components. Amy Phillips continued broadcasting their location and situation to anyone who might be listening. Lisa collected samples of the weed-like plants and returned to her makeshift laboratory. Under her portable microscope, the plant cells looked remarkably similar to Earth vegetation. The chemical analysis showed high levels of carbohydrates and several essential vitamins that humans needed to survive. "This is incredible," Lisa announced to Jake after completing the initial tests. "These plants contain almost everything the human body needs except protein. Combined with our insect protein source, we could have complete nutrition." Jake felt hope rising in his chest for the first time since they landed on this planet. "Are you certain they are safe to eat?" he asked. "The toxicity screening shows no dangerous compounds," Lisa replied. "The cellular structure is compatible with human digestion." "I want to prepare a small test meal and try it myself." Lisa gathered several handfuls of the alien weeds and brought them back to camp. She washed them carefully in boiled water from the stream, then examined them closely. The leaves were tender and green with a slight purple tinge. The roots looked similar to earth carrots, but with a blue color. Ryan Walsh had built a proper cooking fire with stones arranged to hold pots and pans. Lisa used one of their emergency cooking pots to boil the alien plants. As they cooked, the plants gave off a smell that reminded her of spinach mixed with something sweet. "It actually smells good," said crew member Kevin Martinez as he watched Lisa prepare the test meal. "Much better than those bugs we have been eating." Lisa drained the cooked plants and seasoned them with salt and pepper from their emergency supplies. She took a small bite and chewed slowly while analyzing the taste and texture. The flavor was mild and slightly sweet with a texture similar to cooked greens. "Not bad at all," she said after swallowing. "Actually quite pleasant." Jake volunteered to be the second person to try the alien plants. He ate a larger portion than Lisa and waited to see if there were any immediate negative effects. After an hour, both of them felt fine with no signs of stomach upset or other problems. "I think we found our vegetables," Jake announced to the crew. "Dr. Carter has discovered plants that can provide us with carbohydrates and vitamins to supplement the protein from insects." The crew gathered around as Lisa prepared a larger batch of the alien weeds. She experimented with different cooking methods and discovered that the roots could be roasted like potatoes, while the leaves worked well as boiled greens or dried into a flour-like powder. "Look at this," Lisa said excitedly as she ground dried plant leaves between 2 rocks. "This powder could be used to make bread or pancakes. We could have actual baked goods again." Ryan Walsh immediately began working on tools to make food preparation easier. He hammered metal sheets into grinding surfaces and built drying racks to preserve both plants and insects for future meals. His engineering skills proved invaluable for scaling up their food production. Over the next few days, Lisa developed increasingly sophisticated preparation techniques. She learned that roasting the insects gave them a nutty flavor similar to Earth peanuts. The alien plant roots could be sliced and fried like potato chips or mashed into a paste similar to mashed potatoes. Jake found himself actually enjoying meals for the first time since the replicator ban began. Lisa prepared pancakes made from ground plant flour with roasted insect protein mixed in. The combination provided complete nutrition and tasted surprisingly good. "This is better than some of the processed food we used to get from the replicators," said crew member Nancy Foster while eating her second helping of alien pancakes. Amy Phillips documented every recipe and preparation technique that Lisa discovered. She transmitted detailed reports back toward human space, hoping the information would reach other stranded crews. Her broadcasts included safety protocols for testing alien food sources and step-by-step cooking instructions. "Other human ships need to know what we have learned," Amy explained while recording Lisa preparation methods. "If this information reaches them, it could save thousands of lives." The crew physical condition began improving as they adjusted to their new diet. Jake noticed that everyone had more energy and better mental clarity than they had experienced in weeks. The natural food sources seemed to provide better nutrition than their old replicator meals. Lisa started a garden near their camp using seeds collected from the alien plants. The fast-growing weeds sprouted within days and produced abundant leaves and roots. She also set up insect breeding areas under fallen logs to ensure a steady supply of protein. "We are not just surviving anymore," Lisa told Jake while harvesting vegetables from their alien garden. "We are actually thriving on this planet. Our health is better than it was before the ban." Jake looked around at his crew working happily in their new camp. People were laughing and joking while they prepared meals together. The desperate fear that had gripped everyone during their first week was replaced by confidence and optimism. Maybe this ban was not such a disaster after all, Jake said while watching Ryan Walsh teach other crew members how to build better cooking tools. "We have learned skills that could help all of humanity." Amy Phillips received their first response from another human ship that had tried Lisa techniques with local food sources on a different planet. The message reported successful adaptation and improved crew health using similar preparation methods. "Captain, we are getting messages from human colonies throughout this sector," Amy announced. "They are all trying our techniques and many are reporting success. Dr. Carter has become famous throughout human space." Lisa smiled as she seasoned a pot of alien stew with herbs she had discovered growing near their camp. What had started as a desperate survival situation was turning into something much more significant for all of humanity. 3 weeks after discovering their alien food sources, Dr. Lisa Carter had transformed their survival camp into something that looked more like a thriving settlement. She walked through rows of cultivated alien plants while checking on their insect breeding colonies that now produced more protein than the crew could consume in a single day. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the entrance of their improved shelter as Lisa harvested vegetables for the morning meal. She moved with confidence through the alien landscape that had once seemed so dangerous and foreign. Her daily routine included tending their food gardens, checking the health of their protein sources, and developing new recipes that made their meals increasingly enjoyable. "Good morning, Captain," Lisa called out while filling her collection basket with blue roots and purple leaves. "I want to try something new today. I found a way to ferment the plant matter into something that tastes very similar to sourdough bread." Jake smiled as he watched her work. The fear and desperation that had gripped his crew during their first days on this planet had been replaced by enthusiasm and genuine satisfaction. People looked forward to mealtimes now instead of dreading them. Ryan Walsh emerged from his workshop carrying newly completed food processing tools. He had become an expert at creating kitchen equipment from salvaged ship materials. His latest invention was a grinding mill that could process large quantities of dried plants into flour much more efficiently than the hand-grinding methods they had used before. "Dr. Carter, your fermentation idea gave me an inspiration," Ryan said, while setting up his new mill. "I think I can build us a proper oven using heat-resistant materials from the ship engine compartment. We could bake actual bread instead of just making pancakes on the fire." Amy Phillips sat at her communication station, documenting their latest food discoveries while monitoring responses from other human groups throughout the galaxy. Her daily broadcasts had become popular viewing among stranded human crews who were adapting her recorded techniques to their own local environments. "Captain, we just received a message from the colony on New Geneva," Amy announced. "They successfully adapted our insect protein techniques using local beetle species. Their colonists are healthier now than they were before the replicator ban. They want to establish permanent trade relationships for sharing food preparation knowledge." Jake felt pride swelling in his chest as he realized what they had accomplished. What started as a desperate attempt to avoid starvation had evolved into a revolutionary approach to human nutrition that was spreading throughout human-controlled space. Lisa had documented over 50 different edible species on their planet, including fruits that tasted like Earth citrus and nuts that provided healthy oils similar to Earth almonds. Her biological analysis showed that their current diet contained More essential nutrients and vitamins than the processed food they had consumed from replicators for years. "Look at this," Lisa said excitedly while showing Jake her latest discovery. "These purple fruits contain natural compounds that boost immune system function. Since we started eating them, nobody has gotten sick, even though we are living in an alien environment with unknown pathogens. The crew physical transformation was remarkable." Jake had lost excess weight while gaining muscle mass from the physical activity required for food gathering and preparation. Everyone looked healthier, with clearer skin, better energy levels, and improved mental focus. Dr. Carter had trained half the crew in food safety and preparation techniques so that their knowledge would not be lost if something happened to her. Each person specialized in different aspects of their food production system, creating redundancy and shared expertise. "I never thought I would say this, but I prefer our current diet to replicator food," said crew member Jennifer Blake while helping Lisa prepare the midday meal. "Everything tastes fresh and natural. The replicator food always had an artificial flavor that I never noticed until now." Jake organized daily work teams that rotated between food production, exploration, scientific documentation, and maintenance of their equipment. Their temporary camp had evolved into a well-organized community with established routines and clear responsibilities for everyone. The most surprising development was how much the crew enjoyed their new lifestyle. People who had spent years in sterile ship environments working with complex technology now found satisfaction in simple tasks like tending gardens, harvesting insects, and cooking meals over open fires. Amy Phillips' broadcasts reached human settlements throughout the Outer Rim territories and beyond. Her documentation included detailed biological analysis of edible species, safety protocols for testing unknown foods, and step-by-step preparation guides that could be adapted to different planetary environments. "We are getting requests from the inner colonies now," Amy reported during their evening meal. "Even planets that still have emergency food supplies want to learn our techniques. Some are saying this might be the beginning of a new era for human civilization." Lisa looked up from her bowl of alien stew with satisfaction written across her face. "The Galactic Council thought they were punishing us by taking away our replicators," she said. "Instead, they forced us to become stronger and more independent than we ever were before." Jake nodded while enjoying his meal of roasted insects seasoned with alien herbs and served alongside fresh vegetables from their garden. The food was delicious, nutritious, and completely sustainable using only local resources. "The other species in the galaxy are starting to take notice." Jake Sod. Amy received a communication request from a Korath science vessel yesterday. "They want to study our adaptation techniques," Ryan Walsh laughed while testing his newest cooking implement. "The same aliens who pushed for the replicator ban are now curious about how we survived it," he said. "They expected us to fail, but instead we found a better way to live." Lisa stood up and looked out at their thriving settlement, surrounded by alien wilderness that no longer seemed hostile or dangerous. "I think we should consider making this permanent," she said. "This planet could support a much larger human population using our sustainable food production methods." Jake considered her suggestion while watching the sunset paint the alien sky in shades of purple and gold. They had created something special here that went far beyond simple survival. Their techniques could revolutionize how humans lived throughout the galaxy. "Dr. Carter, I want you to prepare a comprehensive report on establishing a permanent research station here," Jake decided. "We have proven that humans can thrive in environments other species consider impossible. That knowledge is too valuable to abandon." Amy Phillips smiled as she prepared her evening broadcast to human space. Tonight she would announce their decision to establish a permanent settlement and invite other humans to join their experiment in sustainable living. The crew of the new Dawn had not just survived the galactic replicator ban, they had used it as an opportunity to discover capabilities they never knew they possessed. 6 months after landing on Kepler 442c, Captain Jake Morrison stood at the edge of their settlement watching 3 human rescue ships descend through the alien atmosphere. The vessels had finally reached them after months of searching, but Jake felt no urgency to leave the world that had become their home. Dr. Lisa Carter emerged from the research facility. She had built using salvaged materials from the New Dawn. Her laboratory now contained samples and documentation of over 200 edible species along with detailed preparation techniques that had transformed their survival situation into a thriving community. Captain, the rescue teams are requesting permission to land, Amy Phillips announced from her expanded communication center. They seem surprised that we are in no immediate danger, Jake smiled as he looked back at their settlement. What had started as a desperate camp now included permanent buildings, organized food production areas, and recreational spaces where his crew relaxed during their free time. Everyone looked healthy, happy, and more fit than they had been in years. Grant them landing permission, Jake replied. But inform them that we are not planning to abandon this place. The rescue ships touched down in the clearing that Ryan Walsh had prepared for visiting vessels. The first person to exit was Admiral Patricia Hayes from Earth Command, along with a team of medical specialists who expected to find desperate survivors clinging to life. Instead, they found Jake Morrison and his crew working contentedly in their gardens while preparing what smelled like an elaborate feast. The visitors looked around in confusion at the well-organized settlement that showed no signs of hardship or desperation. Captain Morrison, we came as quickly as possible when we received your distress signals, Admiral Hayes said while examining their thriving community. But you do not appear to need rescuing, Jake laughed and gestured toward their food production areas where crew members were harvesting vegetables and processing protein sources. We needed rescuing 6 months ago, Admiral, he replied. Now we have built something that the entire human species can learn from. Dr. Carter approached carrying samples of their cultivated foods along with detailed nutritional analysis reports. She had lost weight during their early struggles but now looked healthier and more energetic than ever before. Admiral, we have made discoveries that could revolutionize human nutrition throughout the galaxy, Lisa announced while displaying her research materials. Our current diet provides better nutrition than replicator food while using only naturally occurring local resources. The medical team began examining the New Dawn crew, expecting to find signs of malnutrition or health problems. Instead, their tests revealed improved cardiovascular health, better muscle tone, and enhanced immune system function in every person. This is remarkable, said Chief Medical Officer Dr. Andrew Kim after reviewing the test results. Your crew shows biomarkers associated with optimal human health. Whatever you have been eating is far superior to our standard shipboard nutrition. Admiral Hayes walked through their settlement while Lisa explained their food production techniques. The sustainable systems they had developed could support much larger populations, while actually improving the local ecosystem instead of depleting it. Dr. Carter, your research has already saved hundreds of human lives throughout the outer territories, Admiral Hayes said. Colonies that were facing starvation have successfully adapted your techniques to their local environments. You have become something of a legend in human space. Amy Phillips showed the Admiral her communication logs filled with messages from human settlements across the galaxy. Her broadcasts had reached colonies on dozens of worlds where humans were now thriving, using locally adapted versions of their techniques. We have received requests from over 50 colonies asking for detailed technical assistance, Amy reported. Some planets want to send specialists here to learn our methods directly. Others are offering to share their own discoveries with foods we have not encountered. Jake realized that their survival experience had sparked a revolution in human civilization. Communities throughout human space were abandoning their dependence on artificial food production in favor of sustainable local alternatives that provided better nutrition and greater self-sufficiency. Admiral, the first request permission to establish a permanent research station on this planet, Jake announced. Dr. Carter, work here is too important to abandon. We could train specialists from throughout human space in these techniques. Admiral Hayes considered the request while observing the obvious health and happiness of the New Dawn crew. The Galactic Council has been watching human adaptation to the replicator ban with great interest, she said. The Korath Empire has requested permission to study your techniques. They are impressed that humans have not just survived, but actually thrived under conditions they expected would prove devastating. Lisa looked up from her plant samples with excitement. The other species are finally taking us seriously, she said. They assumed we would fail without artificial food production, but instead we have proven that human adaptability is our greatest strength. Ryan Walsh demonstrated the tools and equipment he had developed for efficient food processing. His innovations could be manufactured and distributed to human settlements throughout the galaxy, providing everyone with the means to achieve food independence. Captain, we could establish a training academy here, Ryan suggested. Teams from different colonies could come here to learn techniques, then return home to teach others. Within a few years, every human settlement could be completely self-sufficient. Jake nodded while imagining the possibilities. Their desperate survival situation had accidentally discovered the key to human independence from both artificial food production and dependence on other species for basic necessities. Admiral, I believe we should accept the Korath request to study our techniques, Jake decided. If we can teach other species what we have learned, it might change how they view humanity in the galactic community. Dr. Carter smiled as she harvested fresh vegetables for the evening meal they would share with their visitors. The Galactic Council thought they were teaching us humility by banning replicators, she said. Instead, they taught us that we are stronger and more capable than any of us realized. Admiral Hayes accepted Jake's invitation to join them for dinner, prepared entirely from local food sources. The meal included roasted protein from several insect species, seasoned vegetables grown in their gardens, and bread made from processed plant materials. This is delicious, Admiral Hayes admitted after tasting their alien cuisine. More flavorful than anything I have eaten from ship replicators. Jake looked around at his crew sharing a meal with their visitors under the alien sky of their adopted world. They had not just survived the galactic replicator ban, they had used it as an opportunity to discover capabilities that made them stronger, more independent, and more respected than they had ever been before. Admiral, we respectfully decline rescue, Jake announced. But we accept the mission to establish a permanent research and training facility that will benefit all of humanity. The crew of the New Dawn had transformed from desperate castaways into pioneers of a new era of human civilization based on adaptability, sustainability, and independence that would inspire generations throughout the galaxy.